Hey, you know who's a Raptor?
Kyle Lowry. Now, okay, let me ask you this. And this has got to be, we got to be quick here because we are running out of time. Like, we're super tight. I know, listen, I was sad that Kyle Lowry is going to be traded, but this is a 35-year-old. And the Raptors clearly got lowballed because I don't think what was the offer? It was from the Heat wasn't very good, and the offer from the Sixers wasn't very good, and they ended up trading for someone else. And
I don't know why the Lakers were ever in it because they don't have enough pieces to give away.
Leverage.
Like, I don't want KCP in a deal for Lowry. It's not going to be worth it.
So Masai's telling the league, you're not going to lowball me, basically.
No.
But then do they have to re-sign him now?
Well, they were able to recoup, what was it, a second for Terrence Davis, a second for Matt Thomas, and who they get for Norman Powell again?
Gary Trent Jr.
Gary Trent Jr. And
there was another player.
Yeah. There was a guy.
Rodney Hood, I think it was.
So they recouped some assets. I'm looking at Shams saying Victor Oladipo, so obviously the silver medal here from Miami. Houston traded Victor Oladipo to Miami for Avery Bradley, Kelly Olynyk, and a draft swap. And I'm looking at that going, no.
The Heat were probably like, Kelly Olynyk's Canadian. This would be popular. They would.
No. I don't want that for Kyle Lowry. No. Like, you're not going to trade him for nothing like that. I think Masai did the right thing because, like, from the Heat, you want Duncan Robinson and a bunch of picks, or Tyler Hero and a bunch of picks, or those two guys and then no picks. But, like, if you keep the best player in franchise history for the rest of the season, maybe he comes back on, like, I don't know, hometown discount, but I think not. Probably goes signs with 76ers, his actual hometown. But, like, you don't give away Lowry for nothing. It looks bad on Masai if he does that.
Now,
I got to imagine if Lowry wanted out, he'd be out right now.
Yeah, I don't think he does. I think the thing is that the Raptors are not in the position that, say, the Leafs were in 14-15 when they had to sell veterans because they needed to reset because they sucked. The Raptors have had a bad year, but this is inherently a pretty good team that's not a whole lot different from last year. The only difference is they're playing in a hotel in Tampa, and they don't have their home fan support, and they're not at home. And don't kid yourself. It's not been a fun season. It's depressing as hell.
I don't think they're this bad.
I don't think so either. And I think the Raptors brass knows they're not. So they're not in a fire sale position. So why do it?
Yeah. Going into the All-Star break, they were playing really well. I think they got up to, the fourth seed in the conference. Like, this was a team that was on a roll, and then it fell off a cliff. And you don't want to blame the pandemic on everything that happened, but it's also an excuse. It's a very legitimate reason for all of their troubles. A bunch of them got COVID. The coaching staff was out for a while. Fred said COVID it destroyed his body for that week, and he wouldn't wish it on anybody. Like, it was, It's been a terrible experience when you're not in your hometown. You haven't seen anybody from, like, your neighborhood where you've been living for the past couple of years in Toronto. It's an excuse that you have to be like, okay, I understand.
Yeah. It affects everybody. So, and you know what? The reality is they're only 11th. They could make it. They could still go on a run and make it.
I don't want to see the Raptors in the play-in tournament. Like, I don't want to see that. Because
they could.
They're one seed away from getting into that little thing, but I don't want to watch that. I'd rather they bottomed out or got up to, like, a 6th seed.
Got a delicious first-round draft pick out of it.
Yeah.
Okay. No, but it's okay. Those seconds, Masai is going to get the best player in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
That's how this works.
Yeah.
He'll draft them from his BlackBerry.
Yo,
It'll be great.
Forget Kyle. They got to re-sign Masai.
That's a good point. Yeah.
He has not been re-signed.
No, he doesn't have a deal for next year.
Mm-hmm. But as Jeff Blair likes to say, this is a guy that could run for president, literally. So he's one of those. If you meet Masai, and I've interviewed him and met him a couple times, there's a presence about that man that is just different. There are some people that are just on a different level, and he's humming on a different frequency. So I would suspect that there's more than just basketball open to Masai Ujiri. Mm-hmm. And he may want to take advantage of that, which would be really sad.
But also very good.
Yeah, for him and for the world.
As a Raptors fan, you're like, no, I'm sad.
Yeah, exactly.
How would you guys, if Kyle Lowry this offseason, how would the two of you feel if he walked away in free agency?
Fine. He's done. What does he owe us? He owes us nothing.
Basketball's, well, I was about to say, yeah, but then it opens up the cap space. But no, if you traded him, you'd have that too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, realistically, this probably isn't the best thing for the organization. But we too often forget the human aspect of it all. And it, I've brought this up a few times, what Elliot Friedman was talking about with the playoff picture last week. Like, the Canucks, should they be sellers? Probably. But they're one of the hottest teams in the league and country right now.
Mm-hmm.
What message does it send to sell off a bunch of guys with your best player out, by the way, and you're on a roll and might actually make it? What about the Blue Jackets?
They won't.
What about the Kings? What about, like, all those teams should maybe try to recoup assets for certain guys. It sends a bad message to the team and to the fan base when you're actually competitive and you pull the chute, unless it's a situation like the Blues, where you're like, the Blues a few years ago, where they're like, we're not good enough, we're going to retool. And hey, look at that, we won the Stanley Cup like 2 years later. Or the Rangers, who announced a rebuild.
Mm-hmm. I think Elliot's right in the point that he's making, but it's the wrong view to have. I think the Raptors have some pretty good young players to build around. So do the Canucks, but the Canucks are capped the fuck out, and they're not going to get better until they start managing that. And yeah, okay, so they've been good for 3 weeks. Who fucking cares? The point is the whole season.
Well, there's also
are there
3 weeks left?
The Flames, who are playing like shit. Come on.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. Let me check.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Are they? I thought the Canucks were ahead of the
Flames. Are fifth,
now.
man.
Nah.
Oh, am I wrong?
Yes, you are. Well, okay. In points percentage, the Flames are above them. But the Canucks have 35 points. The Flames have 33. Canucks have played 3 more games.
So that's sort of a big thing. That's a big detail.
It is a big detail, but get there. And the Flames
will fuck it up for sure. But
they have been. They have been fucking it up.
Man, Vancouver, come on.
The points make the standings look a lot closer.
The self-delusion sometimes is crazy. It's crazy coming out of that city. It's insane.
You can still
manage the group as that's crazy. That's crazy if they think that. You can
still do all the things people are asking you to do. You can still trade all those players, but you have 3 weeks to evaluate.
Uh-huh.
And if this run continues, why would they ruin it?
No, you know what?
They've lost.
They're going to go 500 the whole way and go, we're hot. We're fucking hot. Look at us. Everything that they do now, if they don't lose 80 games in a row like they did at the beginning of the season against Montreal, is going to look good.
It's hilarious that they're 2 points back of that very same team.
With
in 6 more games.
Yeah. Montreal's played 31 games. Vancouver's 37. Oh, yeah, you got a chance. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah, you're right. Man, Calgary. I was tweeting about it last night. If they pull the chute and they decide they're out of it, there's some tasty parts I'd like to pick at.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Big save Dave as a Leaf. Let's go.
I have a feeling the deadline's going to be dead.
Yep. It's usually sort of dead anyway.
Yeah.
More like the Dudline, am I right? You know what? Okay. They don't make the federal government doesn't make a decision that affects the border without someone asking them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, can you make quarantine a week instead of 2? Like that's a fairly large decision, and I got to imagine someone in Canada was in someone in the government's ear about that. I wonder if Kyle Dubas knows the Arkells.
Yeah,
all of the NHL teams,
and Gary Bettman himself. Like I'm sure he made that call.
Yeah,
no, it was Dubas called the Arkells, who called Trudeau.
who called Jerry D.
Who called Jerry D.
Yeah.
And he made the decision.
There you go.
He hosts the Canadian Family Feud. He has that kind of pull.
Actually, Jared probably does.
Yes, Americans, there is a Canadian Family Feud.